joining us on the program, The Arena, on Aneke Television today. Thanks for being part of today's edition of the program, where we meet to take on burning topical issues and matters in society. Issues and matters that faces us as a people. Yes, of course, through the analysis of our resource persons, our guests. All right, we seek to provide solutions on the way forward so that we could engender better society for every one of us. My name is Chris Anibuogo, thanking you for having joined us. On our table today, what are we looking at? The issues around power generation, distribution, talking about electricity, you understand what we mean? Here in the Southeast, issues and matters. That is what we're looking at on the show today, because power for me, for us here, we have every other sector revolving around the power sector. Because if we don't have adequate, proper, effective power distribution, I wonder what's going to happen to businesses and to life generally. So that's why today we have joining us on the show the Group Head, Corporate Communications of the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EDC, in the person of Emeka Eze. It's good to have you join us on the arena today.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. Thank you very much.
All right, so there you are. Stay with us as we proceed. Emeka Eze, the task, the journey of electricity distribution for our people in the Southeast. How has it been since the EDC took over this task and mandate?
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. I must say that the task has been quite interesting. Interesting, and it's been also challenging, interesting in the sense that every day we keep meeting new challenges. Every day we keep meeting new obstacles that we contend with. And most times these obstacles and challenges form part of our learning curve in improving our processes and perfecting the way and manner we carry out our operations. Electricity, like you rightly pointed out, is a very, very critical aspect of human existence. And that is also part of the commitment we have as a utility to use our services to improve the socioeconomic landscape of the Southeast. And a lot has happened, even with the advent of the Electricity Act of 2023, which now enables states to, generate, transmit, and distribute, thereby empowering them to enact their own laws and set up their own electricity market. Our dear state, Enugu State, happens to be the very first to, take that bold step. And a lot of improvement has been recorded as a result of that singular development. So it's a journey, like I always say, especially considering the peculiarity of our own environment. We've lived in an environment where our customers see electricity as part of their entitlement, okay? Part of what government is supposed to be providing for them. But of course, you and I know that the sector was privatized. That was in 2013. After the unbundling of Nepal, which gave rise to the various members of the electricity value chain, talking about the generation, transmission, and distribution, standing on their own.
Okay.
With the generation being privatized and distribution privatized, we still have the transmission still being run by the federal government. So that was a major change that happened in the sector at that time, followed by what happened in 2023, which further, broke the operations down such that states can now, come into play. Electricity was in the exclusive list. With this very arrangement, is now in the concurrent list. So states can now generate their power, distribute and transmit, and also open up their market to attract investment. That is one major plus of that Electricity Act, that amendment. Investment is something that we need in the sector. And because of where we found ourselves, that has not been able to come in by investment. I mean, foreign direct investments. A situation where you have key industry players seeing Nigeria as a fertile ground that need to be invested in. But that is not the case. You know, I was telling you about our orientation where we see electricity as social service. With the privatization, it's not a social service. It's now being run as a business, business enterprise. People have invested, and people are expected to run it as a commercial enterprise, and the returns are supposed to be, gotten. But that has not been the case, because we still have situations where people believe that they are not expected to pay, especially the elites. People that you see that have the means to pay for this service, they are not paying. People engage in energy theft, people vandalize installations, people connect illegally, set up their structures, connect illegally. And these people are feeding from the grid, using your product without paying for it. So you cannot even account for it. So a situation where you invest in a sector and you're not able to get your returns, it becomes a problem. And investors are looking at some of these things before they come in. So if I'm not sure, or if I'm not guaranteed of getting return from my investment, I will not be moved to come and invest. These are some of the areas that has really, frustrated our operations, and it has not allowed us get to where we ought to be by now. And unfortunately, coming back home, the books of the discos is not such that can attract funding from the banks. So no bank can even advance facility to us. So that makes it more, challenging, for you to be able to source funds to carry out most of the initiatives that we've identified within our space that we need to embark on. We are not having the needed funds to do that.
Okay. Maybe when we take a critical look at the challenges inherent in the system, the sector, we may be able to point out these issues one after the other critically. But now, let's make it clearer for the viewer out there to understand. So at the moment, we understand that that energy, that power sector has transmitted from one point to the other. Some time ago, it was known as Nepal. Even though we know that Nepal seems to have taken over the name over time. Even the young child who will always get used to up Nepal. You understand? So from Nepal, I moved to PHCN. At the moment, it has been unbundled.
Yeah.
So it is no longer the federal government taking responsibility for the generation, transmission, and distribution. So the government handles
the transmission.
The transmission. What about the generation? Who is
the generation
responsible?
is privatized.
It's privatized.
It's privatized. You have GenCos that are generating the power that the transmission company wheels down to the distribution companies to further extend to our customers. So that is the way the value chain is structured. You have the generation company, the upstream. These are the guys that generate the power that we distribute. So after it's generated, the transmission company wheels it down to the distribution network.
Where you come in now.
Where we come in.
So and you're responsible for the Southeast.
Yeah, we are responsible for the Southeast, and we're also representing the GenCos and the transmissions. So the bill you pay as electricity bill is associated cost of providing that service. So the guys that generated that electricity will share from that your bill. The guys that transmitted it will also share from that bill, while we also share from it. So it's not just, you're not just paying to EEDC.
Because the impression out there is that it is all about EDC.
No, no, it's not
You're
like that.
making
We're
money.
just,
and-
we're just like an agent. We're just a representative of the value chain. We are the ones you see. We are the ones at the downstream. The upstream guys, their business is just to generate this power, and they push it down to us, and we distribute to you and bill you and expect that you pay so that we can remit back to the upstream. That is the way it's structured.
So that's the process.
That is it.
Okay, since we have the generation, the transmission, and then before we come to your position,
Space,
which
yeah.
is the distribution, tell us the obvious reality. What is the capacity of power generation in Nigeria?
Okay, as of today, we have around 5,000 megawatts
For the entire country?
for the entire country, and this will be distributed across each of the distribution companies. For us, we got around over 300 megawatts.
300.
And that is
Can
what
that be transmitted to maybe percentage?
that should be around 8-9% of what is generated.
Nationwide.
You know, every disco will get their own allocation, and it's based on percentage. Okay, we were getting around 9%, but lately it has reduced a little bit. You know, part of our space has been ceded to our space within Aba and Ari area is now ceded to Aba Power.
Okay.
So that's geometric. They are the ones handling Aba and Ari area. So the allocation we get is distributed across the areas where we cover. In Abia State, we only cater for Umuahia. So Aba and Ari area is handled by a different distribution company.
Okay.
While Ebonyi, Imo, Anambra, and Enugu also feed from this allocation. So unfortunately, that number will not be enough to meet our energy needs.
Because that's the question. If what you get from the whole lot is just 8-9%, I was about asking for a southeastern people of Nigeria who are very industrious.
You also need to take
who
into
depend more on energy
cognizance
and power.
that
Isn't that so insufficient?
It is, but that is largely because the quantum generated for the whole country is inadequate. Assuming we generate up to 30,000 megawatts as a country today, and we get 8% or 7% of this, it will address our needs. So it's not a function of, and remember, we have 11 distribution companies feeding from, so if you have 11 individuals feeding from, and you're getting 8% or 9%, I don't think is a bad deal. And also, in designing, in drawing this allocation, areas, considerations are made. You know, there are areas that are, the energy appetite for energy is bigger than some areas. Take for instance Lagos. They have a lot of industrial clusters there. Their allocation is higher than, you know, what we are getting for obvious reasons. So now every day our energy needs, they are all increasing. In Enugu, in Anambra, in Ebonyi, the energy needs are growing by the day. Industries are coming in, buildings, people are building, and they will need power. That is where the arrangement that has happened with the Electricity Act will go a long way in helping.
Okay.
So the states, they now own their space. They are now to attract investors that will come and invest within the states. Quite agreed, the energy we are getting from the grid might not be sufficient. But what happens when the state regulatory commission licenses an independent power generation company within the state that will generate and add to what we are getting from the grid to complement, you know, what we have? It will further increase the quantum of energy that our people in Enugu we will be getting. So these are some of the things that we need to take advantage of. Well, like I said, that confidence needs to be there. Every investor needs to be sure that he or she is going to get return on investments made. And
Kudos is a welcome development. The new Electricity Act that came in, that was under the last dispensation.
yes,
under
but it was signed.
late
It was,
President Muhammadu
signed
Buhari.
off by the current president.
It's a welcome one. But before we got to that stage, Emeka, I don't know. There's this impression of the federal government not necessarily taking keen interest in what happens in the southeast. For instance, I just want to see if you will agree with the fact that the 8 to 9% allocation to the southeast from the national grid, are you not seeing elements of politics?
No, I don't see.
Because the southeastern people, for instance, we are very industrious. We rely more on energy, power, electricity, to be able to.
I agree. I don't see.
Are you not seeing some elements of politics?
I don't see politics in it. Like I rightly pointed out, that we have 11 distribution companies.
That's right.
Okay, so assuming you share it 10% across board, that means we're left with one distribution company not getting anything. So look at it from that point. I don't think it has nothing to do with politics.
Oh,
Rather,
really?
I don't think it has to do with the quantum that is being generated. That is where that's the root cause of the problem we are having. 5,000 for a country of over 200 million people. It is grossly inadequate. So there's nothing political about it. Once those numbers are enhanced, like I said, if we get up to 20,000 megawatts, I don't think we'll be having this conversation. Yeah, it will go a long way in addressing it might not be 100%, but at least, from where we are now, it will be a very big improvement in terms of availability. And also, by the time we begin to get the other energy allocation from the independent generation companies that might be licensed within the space, it will also augment whatever we are getting. So I don't see it from that political.
So no politics attached.
No politics attached.
Okay, because we often begin to get the signals that everything done in this country, the southeast is always.
And most of the southeasterners you're talking about, they all have their businesses in Lagos. Most of those industries that you're, talking about, they are all in Lagos, and they are feeding from their location given to the two distribution companies that we have in Lagos. So the main challenge we have as a nation is a poor energy allocation, energy generation.
And it seems that devil around these issues seem not to be dying anytime soon. I mean, for a country as huge as Nigeria to be feeding on 5,000 megawatts, I mean, that's grossly insufficient.
It is. And that is why the federal government, if you observe, they've been doing everything possible to, break that jinx, attract investment, open up the market so that investors can come, and also try and reassure them that once they come in, they need that confidence to come in. And it's not about talking it, you need to walk it and let them have that confidence that once they come in and set up. We also need to change our own mindsets, our own orientation. Electricity is a product that has to be paid for. People cry that it is not affordable. It is not affordable because the cost is not right. It's because the economic situation is not, the average Nigerian cannot afford 24/7 electricity if it were to be pushed out across board. So that is the root cause. The economy needs to be activated so that people will have the means to access this product. And once that happens, any investor that comes in will be sure that anybody that uses their product will pay for it. But situation where you're not getting the cost of your product and you're expected to be efficient calls for worry.
All right. This other issue of the government now trying to categorize Nigerians according to class. You understand? We now hear band A, band B, band C, band D, band E. What's all that supposed to mean? I mean, like, we're all Nigerians. Aren't we just all supposed to be at the same level? Why are we categorizing Nigerians based on your class? You belong to band A, first class citizen, band B.
Anyway, that's not
Could you
the,
throw more light on the
not
banding system now?
that's not the idea behind that initiative. And I would like to point out that this has been in existence since 2020.
Since 2020.
This band structure has been in existence since 2020. The only thing that brought it to the fore was the removal of subsidy from the band A tariff. That was what made it look as if it's a new introduction. It's been there. And that was a fallout of engagements that happened then. Remember, there has been periods where effort was being made to review the tariff. People don't want the tariff reviewed at all. They want it to remain as it was. And they still expect efficiency. It doesn't work that way. A lot of things have changed. A liter of fuel today, I don't know how much it was 2020, but check out how much it is today. But nobody wants electricity tariff to move because, I don't know. So then there was engagements. That's a normal thing that happens before tariff is reviewed. Stakeholder engagement, where you invite customers, everybody air their views and all that. Some of the customers, I recall, will say that they shouldn't increase the tariff until they begin to see 24 hours. Some were saying that they don't get up to 8 hours. Some say they don't even need 8 hours, just give us 3 hours. You know, you have a mix or combination of reactions. And usually what happens after this whole exercise is that the regulator goes back, look at the input and come up with something that will address everyone. So for those that are saying they don't need up to 24 hours, you have somewhere you can fit in. For those that are saying when they see 24 hours that they are willing to pay, we've heard this severally. Give us the power, we are ready to pay. And now when you see the power and you're told how much it costs, you say, what do I need 24 hours for? I'm okay with 3 hours. These are things you get when you're dealing with a combination of people that, you know, their needs are different. So then the regulator came up with this banding structure, where band A gets a minimum of 20 hours, band B minimum of 18 hours, down the line, 16, 12, and 4 hours down. So now the discos are expected to meet that threshold. And when you don't meet that threshold, you compensate the customers. And it's also a conscious way of getting the discos to invest in their infrastructure. So customers within band D can gradually be migrated. It has happened across the network where you see some people that were in band C migrated to band A. After investment has happened in the network, the infrastructure strengthened to be able to deliver band A. It's not all our feeders that can push 24 hours supply. But there are feeders that can stand 24 hours. There are feeders, if you put 24 hours, it won't be able to push. So those feeders are identified and conscious efforts are made to improve on the infrastructure so that they will be able to deliver 24 hours. Some people are on feeders that are band C and they say they want to be on band A. You know, they want to be on band A, in as much as we want to give them the band A service, but their feeder cannot deliver it. So what we need to do is maybe in the next plan of rehabilitation, we look at that feeder, improve on the feeder so that it can withstand the pressure of band A service delivery. So once that happens, we apply to the regulator, and once approval is given, we migrate them. So it's not something designed to shortchange anybody.
Okay.
It's just because of the challenge we have, peculiar challenge we have, and we're trying to accommodate everybody. But what brought it to the fore was the removal of the subsidy by federal government. The federal government has been paying subsidy over the years, and that is also part of the problem we have. At the point the disco was being privatized, part of the negotiating points was that the distribution company should be allowed to run a cost-reflective tariff. That is a tariff that is reflective of the cost, not a situation where you buy a product, process, and everything, it comes at 2 naira. Somebody will be telling you to sell it at 1 naira. As a business venture, you cannot sustain that operations. That is exactly what has happened with the power sector. And that was part of the reason why the bands were, grouped in that manner. But it was the band A tariff that, stirred the whole place. This structure has been in existence 2020. Band A, B, C, D, E has been in existence since 2020. It's just because the upper bands are now made to pay 209, higher tariff than the others. You now see them say they want to go down to band E. They don't want to remain in band A. You still see some people say they want to come up. Because if you look at it, no matter how you look at it, if you're in a band A feeder, before now you were running your own independent power, your generator, you're buying fuel, buying diesel as the case may be. Now, you no longer buy those, you never spend on those items. You now focus on the grid power. The supply is there. Situations you get 23 hours. In a 24-hour, you're getting 23 hours or 24 hours is a good deal. The enlightenment, the customer education now changed towards energy management. So the way you've been using energy before has to change to be able to deal with or contend with the new structure.
Maybe in the next 1 minute, you may need to just give us that enlightenment.
Okay, if
energy usage. How can we manage effectively?
If you're living within a band A feeder, for example, as well as other feeders, and you're metered as a metered customer, your meter records your consumption. So gone are the days you're going out, you put on the air conditioner because you're not metered to chill, for the house to chill, so that when you come back, everywhere will be cool. If you're doing that, your meter will be recording that consumption. So turn off appliances when they are not in use. Try and acquire energy-saving appliances. There are energy-saving appliances that help you manage your energy cost. People still use incandescent bulb. That bulb they sell, whether 100 naira or something, that cheap bulb, they consume so much. We recommend LED bulbs or those energy-saving bulbs.
The one they call white bulb?
Yes.
Let's use the local
LED bulb. Some of those incandescent bulbs are white too. So those ones that have filament in it, they are no. Okay. They consume your power. And part of what we also do, I for one, like the refrigerator or the freezer, once it's blocked, you don't need to leave it 24/7. You can draw up a plan on how to, manage. Maybe you wake up in the morning, you turn it off. If you come back in the evening, you put it on. It runs through the night. I mean, you help you manage your cost. So it's just for us to adjust.
Some other times too, we could really be abusive on some of this, and some other times during the day, within the neighborhood, you see bulbs left on.
Especially for those that are not metered. Those that are metered, they leave it on, it will be hitting their meter. Because you now see somebody say, I loaded 10,000 naira, it vanished. It doesn't evaporate. Energy does not evaporate. Something consumes that energy. So if you leave in the habit of leaving your security light points on through the day, I mean, you're the one paying for that. Those are wastages that we discourage. You visit some communities, especially rural communities, they tell you they don't have industry in their community. But those bulbs That's where you see all those incandescent bulbs dominantly used. You see them on. You can see a small building, you see like 8 bulbs outside glaring during the day when they are not needed. So those are the things that increase energy costs.
All right.
And at the end of the period, when you present the bill, they tell you that they don't have any, what are they consuming? Whereas those bulbs have consumed the energy.
Okay, Emeka said, let's go to the issue of metering. I think gone are the days we should be talking of, what do you call it? Estimated billings. Nigerians are expected to be running on prepaid metering system. How far have we gone with metering Nigerians now?
Okay, I'll say that we are making a lot of progress, and more and more customers are being metered. There has been different metering programs that have been introduced to, address this very concern. It's also important to mention that the metering gap is also part of what we inherited. Remember that we inherited this whole business, and the gap as at when we inherited the sector was also wide, and our responsibility is also to ensure that it's closed up. A lot of initiatives have been introduced. We had CapMe sometime introduced to bridge the gap, where customers advance funds to the distribution companies and the meters provided and they are reimbursed. That ended, and we now have MAP, Meter Asset Provider, where you have third-party vendors that bring in these meters and meter our customers who have indicated interest, because they need to indicate interest because they will pay for the meter. But the interesting thing is that they are also going to be repaid back. It's just like bridging the funding gap. You recall that I mentioned that part of our challenge is the fund to embark on some of the things that we need to embark on. Metering is one of it. And unfortunately, the tariff as it is not enough to cushion those costs. The tariff is supposed to service the cost of metering the customers, but the tariff is not, sufficient to even address the cost of the product. So you need to get funding from somewhere, from outside, and there are no facilities, long-term facilities that can be accessed to address this, which is why the regulator came up with this program, and it's been working perfectly well. Customers are applying and they are being metered. There's also a metering program which will kick off any moment from now, where customers will not need to pay. So the distribution companies will pay. It's a long-term facility, World Bank supported, that will use to get those meters and deploy to our customers that are not metered. They will not have to pay. It's the distribution company that will pay, or it's a long-term facility. So these are the programs designed to close the metering gap. Okay, so I acknowledge your point that is a challenge, but effort is being made to close that gap. And metering is going to be an ongoing thing. If you meter all the customers in your network today, people are still building, they will need meter. So it's something that will be ongoing. Okay, the map is currently running. Customers that are interested can apply and have their facilities metered, and they will be reimbursed.
So what's the process of application now?
Okay, you can visit our website, www.enugudisco.com. You see request for meter. You click on it, fill your form, you get your application ID sent to your phone, with which you can use to track that application. So that is the first step. Apply online and get that. Once demand notice issued to you, you go to any commercial bank, make payments, and it starts counting. 10 working days after that payment is confirmed, the meter ought to be installed. Though sometimes we might experience teething issues, maybe network issues, but these are smart meters, and you need to establish that two-way communication before the meter leaves the office to the destination. So once that does not happen, the meter cannot leave. So that is the process. It's as simple as that, and we try to make it in such a way so that you remove human interference. We've had situations where people say they gave somebody money and they didn't see meter. We don't
Because
encourage that.
that's an area of concern.
Yeah, it is. For us
sometimes
as a
people
business,
exchanging money.
we don't encourage it. We don't encourage it. And that's why we've automated the process. So once you apply, and you can be following through, you can be monitoring the progress. If you apply, like I said earlier on, the application ID will be sent to your phone. You provide some details, email address, mobile phone number, and that application ID is what you use to track your application. You move on to that website again, put in your application ID. It will show you, okay, a pre-survey carried out, application closed. They are waiting for demand notes. They issue demand notes. You get prompting. You go and download it. Go to the bank and pay. But most times people don't want to. They rather want to go through the back door and burn their fingers. And you see them come out. They say they paid and they've not gotten. Who did you pay to? That's when you now begin to see that they've shot themselves.
So one is not expected to make payments to anybody.
You pay to the bank once you get a demand note. And before payment is made, a demand note will be issued to you.
That's all right. Now again, who owns the meter? Because we understand there is a landlord who owns his building. The tenant occupies, but the tenant is always mobile. I could live in a house for a year and I decide to move to another point. So if your customer, who is a tenant, makes application for the prepaid meter and he pays, who owns the meter?
The distribution company owns the meter.
The distribution company owns the meter?
Yes. And the meter is tied to that building where the application is initiated from.
The tenant doesn't necessarily need to move with the meter while
You can't move with it. Even if you move with the meter, you can't plug it anywhere.
So if I pay as a customer who is a tenant to another man's house, so how am I going to get my money back?
Remember that I said that if you pay, you're going to get reimbursed. As a tenant, you've paid for this meter. The meter is installed. You're going to be recharging the meter. As you're recharging, you'll be getting refund of the cost of that meter.
Okay.
So let's assume you paid 100,000 for the meter. And each recharge, a fraction of that 100,000 will be given to you as credit, energy credit. So you're recharging 10,000 naira, for example, and that 10,000 is supposed to give you like, let's say, 50 units. So you'll be getting something like 60 units. So that difference is the cost of that meter fraction converted to energy, which you're getting.
Okay.
Over time, you would have gotten the money you spent acquiring that meter. That's the way it's structured. And if you're living, you can't move with the meter, unfortunately.
Okay, now, I don't know how much time we've got left on this show, but before we wind up, let's come to the core challenges. How lucrative is it to be in the business of distribution of power in the Southeast? How lucrative, how challenging?
Okay, ordinarily, if you're looking at it from the outside, is meant to be a lucrative business. But unfortunately, because of the environment we find ourselves, that is not the case.
As a result of
apathy to payments, people don't pay. Theft, people steal instead of allowing the device that has been put there to record their consumption, and they pay according to their consumption. People vandalize infrastructures. You mount transformers that will serve a community. Some people will go and, vandalize the cable. Sometimes they carry the transformer. So these are some of the challenges that if you begin to look at it as an investor, or potential investor, you will not have, you'll be disturbed. You'll be disturbed. Remember, we cover a very large area, and it will be difficult for us to have personnel manning those infrastructure. Okay, that is where community support comes in. We've been reaching out to communities, vigilantes, president generals, traditional rulers to gain support, getting them to see this infrastructure as their part owners.
Taking ownership.
Ownership, because it's serving you. It's serving you. And once it's attacked, you will be inconvenienced. Quite agreed, we won't be getting revenue from you, but it will hit you more because that energy that you're not consuming will be consumed elsewhere, and we're going to get the money from that place. But you are not going to get the service. So that is a major concern. Vandalism. You see them stealing the bell conductors. They will push down the poles and, take the wires away. They go to transformers, drain the transformer oil. They go to transformers, they cut the armored cable.
Obviously, these forms of vandalism and theft cannot be taking place with how people who are knowledgeable around with these things.
Okay, we hear this every time. But
what about if your workers, your staff are involved in things like this?
Okay, I agree. I totally agree. But out of all the vandals that we've apprehended, how many of them are staff? I'm asking you. Out of all the vandals that we've apprehended, how many of them are staff of the distribution company? How many of them confess that they are working hand in hand with? So these are just mere insinuations that we find out there. We are not saying we have sense working within our space, but there has to be evidence that it is your people. Sometimes there's a community at Edo, I think Edo Balaya.
In Nsukka?
Yes. They came sometime, the transformer within their community was attacked, and they came to our office to protest. And they were alleging that it is our people, that our people came, and the next moment the thing was attacked and all that. After that phase, the next thing that happened, one of their own, a guy that owned a barbing salon, was electrocuted while attempting to vandalize their transformer. One of their own. You understand? So these are some of the things that we hear every day. They say it's somebody that is knowledgeable. Most times they are not knowledgeable. You see some of these scrap dealers, they know that this cable is made of copper. They know the value of copper. They go and attack it, and you see them process it. They remove the insulators, put them in the bag, and they go and sell it off at a giveaway cost. These are expensive materials, but you see them. So to answer your question,
yes,
it's not all about is somebody that know about it. Some people don't know about it. They just know that this thing is expensive and they go for it. Some lose their lives in the process. I'm sure you've gotten news of people that got electrocuted while attempting to vandalize electricity infrastructure.
All right.
So some people say it's the hunger in the land.
But that's a risky venture.
Yeah, it is. It is. I, for one, cannot even touch electric switch, not to talk of going into a transformer. But you see people move into the distribution substation when there's supply, when it's on potential to carry out. They carry the feeder pillar units and all that. How they do it, I don't know.
Well, Aneke, my producer said we should round off, and we need to round off now.
Thank you.
But then I don't know if you have a word for the viewer in the next 30 seconds. Can you maintain 30 seconds?
Okay, yeah. I just want to appreciate the customers, the viewers who are customers. I want to tell them that we are here to provide service to them, and we cannot attain that level of efficiency without their support. So we are not taking them for granted. Quite agree, there are grounds to cover. There are things that we are not doing right yet, but that's why our doors are open. We need information on how we can improve on our processes, and inside we are working at improving our processes to ensure that our customers enjoy the experience. So we want to appreciate them and assure them of our commitment to continue serving them, better.
All right, so that's where we'll round it off. Not done yet because it's work in progress. So we'll keep bringing him here to bring us updates on issues and matters around the power distribution in the Southeast. Even though we say kudos to the federal government of Nigeria for unbundling the power sector and has given room for state governments now to key in and take ownership of power generation, and distribution in their various states. And good enough, the government of Enugu State under Peter and Bisimba has keyed in, and we see what is going on now in the state. So we expect other state governments to key in, even though we know that's going to make the market very competitive. I don't know, but then we're not asking.
They say
we're not going to ask
the
you
sky is wide enough for, for the
we know
birds.
that's going to make the system very competitive. It's not going to take you out of business, though. It's an open market system, so we'll leave it at that.
All
We'll
right.
leave it at that. So good looking at you. Take ownership of every equipment within your area. It's yours. It's not necessarily for the distribution company alone. It's serving you. So take ownership, protect it, secure it. Until come your way again, pay your bills as well. My name is Chris Aneke.